Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're going for a walkabout with the 1986 classic Crocodile Dundee. This fish out of water comedy brought the Australian outback to the big screen, introducing us to the charming and rugged Mick Dundee. But how much do you know about this film that was a global phenomenon? So grab your didgeridoo, sharpen your knife, and let's explore 20 things you never knew about Crocodile Dundee. In 1977, Rod Ansell found himself in a perilous situation when his boat capsized, reportedly due to a crocodile. He spent a night drifting at sea before washing up on an island in Australia's Northern Territory. For 7 weeks, he relied on his resourcefulness to survive, including drinking cow blood, until he was finally rescued. Ansell later appeared on Michael Parkinson's popular talk show, where he shared that he preferred sleeping on the floor of the hotel provided by the show. Ansell claimed that Paul Hogan had mentioned his interview as inspiration for Crocodile Dundee during an early radio appearance, though no transcript of that interview has ever been found. Tragically, Ansell's life ended in 1999 during a shootout with police. In 2000, Hogan dismissed the idea of a real Crocodile Dundee as a myth. Another key inspiration for the film came from Hogan's own trip to New York, where he imagined the chaos that would ensue if an Aussie bushman were thrust into the hustle and bustle of the city. Writer and producer John Cornell screened the film for a 20th Century Fox executive during his visit to Hollywood in an attempt to sell it. Cornell described the executive as someone who sat with his feet on the desk, watched the film for about 20 minutes, checked his watch repeatedly, and dismissed it as unworkable. Cornell later remarked that the executive had been extremely rude and admitted to occasionally taking pleasure in imagining the look on his face now. Ultimately, Paramount acquired the rights to the film. The Australian and international versions of the film differ slightly. After test screenings showed that audiences grew restless with some of the Australian slang, several terms were either dubbed into American English or removed entirely. In total, 7 minutes were cut from the movie for the international version, nearly all of which came from the first half set in Australia. This was also to accelerate the pace to suit the taste of the American audience. The quotation marks around crocodile in the title were also added for the American audience, as they wanted everyone to know that crocodile was a nickname. One of the writers didn't initially find the knife line very funny. Ken Shady admitted that it wasn't funny on paper, referring to the iconic line, "That's not a knife, this is a knife." The quote was a collaborative effort between the three writers and went on to become one of the film's most memorable moments. In December 2024, the crocodile who became famous for his appearance in the film passed away. Bert, the iconic saltwater crocodile, was believed to be over 90 years old. Crocosaurus Cove in Darwin shared the news in an Instagram post, stating that Bert passed away peacefully, marking the end of an incredible era. When Sue, played by Linda Kozlowski, was attacked by a crocodile, she was never actually in danger, not only because Mick was close by, but because the creature was obviously a mechanical crocodile that cost $45,000. Bert was only used for shots of him coming out of the water. Although Hogan had hoped to use a real crocodile for the close-ups, it proved to be unfeasible. However, the buffalo was real. When Hogan was asked which animal was the hardest to work with, he didn't hesitate to answer buffalo. Because if the buffalo doesn't want to do something, it weighs 2,000 pounds. And well, it just doesn't. So you have to hang around and wait for it to cooperate. He went on to say the scene in the film took all day. It was like the buffalo said, "I'll just sit here and there's nothing you can do about it." If you're enjoying the video, a subscribe to the channel would be the perfect way to show you're as sharp as Mick's knife. Among the Australian locations used for filming was Kakadu National Park, an area roughly the size of Germany. The park gained such fame after the film's release that it began offering Crocodile Dundee tours. In New York, Vazak's bar in the East Village was used, a location also featured in The Godfather Part 2 and Rent. The hotel room shown in the film was a $900 suite at the New York Plaza Hotel, which has appeared in other iconic films including North by Northwest and Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. People specifically requested Mick Dundee's room at the hotel and even called the plaza asking for rooms with bidets. However, the hotel didn't actually have rooms with bidets, as the one shown in the film was part of a set built by the crew. With no suitable hotels near the filming locations in Kakadu National Park though, the cast and crew temporarily lived in rundown huts. An armed guard was always on hand to ensure real crocodiles didn't pose a threat. Producer John Cornell also made sure there was plenty of beer available to keep the crew in good spirits. At the start of the film, there's a distinctive shot of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Before rising to stardom, Paul Hogan worked as a rigger on that very landmark, contrary to the common misconception that he was a painter. Reflecting on this, Hogan has said, "Look, if I had been a painter and you'd turn up every day and say, 'What colour are we going to do today, boys?' Ah, Battleship Grey, I'd have jumped off." He got into show business after his mates dared him to audition for an Australian TV talent show. He won the competition and quickly began writing and starring in his own sketch comedy show. Hogan, Ken Shady and John Cornell were nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. They lost out to Woody Allen for Hannah and Her Sisters, but Hogan did win a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Comedy Motion Picture. Thanks to the character's immense popularity beyond Australia, Crocodile Dundee has become a symbol of the country. He featured in commercials for the Subaru Outback, a Japanese car that was marketed with an Australian persona to highlight its ruggedness and ability to rival other sport utility vehicles. He also made a notable appearance during the closing ceremony of the 2000 Summer Olympics. In January 2018, teasers began surfacing online, followed by a Super Bowl ad featuring Danny McBride, Chris Hemsworth and Paul Hogan, along with a full trailer. The advert tricked millions into briefly believing Crocodile Dundee was getting a reboot. Shortly after the Super Bowl, Insider revealed that it was actually a $27 million ad campaign aimed at boosting Australian tourism. McBride has said it wasn't like he was looking to do a Super Bowl commercial, but he just thought the concept of it was too funny to see what people's reactions would be like. Some fans even launched a petition to get the reboot made. However, Hogan has no intention of making another Crocodile Dundee movie, saying it's not going to happen. After working together, Paul Hogan and Linda Kozlowski fell in love. Unfortunately for the couple, Hogan was already married to Nolene Edwards, whom he had wed in 1958, the same year Kozlowski was born. They had 5 children together, divorced in 1981 and remarried in 1982. Their second split was one of the ugliest celebrity divorces in Australian history. Shortly after their second divorce was finalised in 1990, the 50-year-old Hogan married the 32-year-old Kozlowski. The couple had a son, Chance, but tragically Kozlowski filed for divorce in October 2013, and the divorce was finalised the following year. Among the 1,400 investors behind the film were brokers, affluent cricketers and Michael Hutchence, the lead singer of In Excess. The Queensland investment bank Paul Morgan and Company underwrote the $7.1 million required to produce it, with Hogan and Cornell contributing $600,000 of their own funds. The film went on to gross well over $300 million worldwide, with the profits distributed among the investors. Apparently, in the early 1990s, people at Paramount considered a crossover sequel with one of its other major 80s franchises, Crocodile Dundee meets Beverly Hills Cop. Fortunately, the idea was scrapped, but whether true or not, it's fun to think about. Some aspects of the story haven't aged well. A writer for The Guardian criticised elements they described as sexist, racist, homophobic and transphobic, and they weren't entirely wrong. One example is how Sue is not portrayed as a journalist in her own right, but rather works for her boyfriend at her father's newspaper. There are also transphobic moments, particularly when Mick gropes two trans women. The film also features offensive comparisons, such as equating indigenous Aboriginal tribes fighting for land rights to fleas arguing over who owns the dog they live on, and Mick asking the black chauffeur Gus, played by Reginald Vell Johnson, which tribe he is from. In a discussion about cancel culture, Hogan remarked, "It's sometimes understandable, and in some cases stupid. In the case of me and the shows I did, it was never designed to hurt anyone." Hogan has also stated, "I don't think I ever did anything with any sort of malice." I know what my opinions are on the topic of cancel culture, especially regarding things that are of a different time. I won't say them here though, as I like to keep the videos neutral. But I'll see you in the comments if you'd like to let us know your thoughts on this topic. There were two sequels made, Crocodile Dundee 2 and Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. As with most sequels, the quality declined, but with the third movie, it fell off a cliff, having just an 11% score on the tomato meter and grossing less than $40 million. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about Crocodile Dundee. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.